All right, let's have a conversation about the trenches. I think some people are fearing that the interior of the offensive line or the offensive line in general is going to be the biggest weakness for the Chargers. And I'm here to tell you that your biggest fear might actually turn into one of the best things that you experience. I want to look at offensive lines across the NFL. I want to look at what those kind of stack up and look like and how good teams build offensive lines, but also how this offensive line is so important to building the culture of what Jim Harbaugh wants and what the Chargers want to have as an organization. Look, you probably know this by now, but my name's Craig. We are Detroit Lions fans. We followed this man, Jim Harbaugh, to the West Coast. I got my Michigan shirt on. I'm a big, big Michigan fan. We know what he's trying to do. We know what he's trying to build. He's always put people in success. But I also want to talk just a little bit about successful offensive lines. There are a lot of teams out there right now that are starting to overpay guards. I mean, we're talking $20+ million going to guards in the NFL. That's tackle money. That should be reserved for tackles because they are the most important pieces to the offensive line. The Chargers have not got caught up in that as of yet. They haven't. And I want to tell you, there's one beat writer that's actually writing something very excited and glowingly about the interior of the offensive line, one little switch that could happen. But also, we're going to talk about the best offensive lines in football and how, for the most part, yeah, the middle is fine. But it's the tackles that are supreme. So, we're gonna have quite a bit of talk about that. So, this is what was said, and this is all written about Popper. He was with, I think, The Athletic or anything like that. But it's very interesting to see. He talked about the line. All right, and I'm just going to read some of this for you, and then I'm going to give you my take. Now, it's not as if the Bolts ignored the issue completely, as they went out and they signed Mekhi Becton to a 2-year, $10 million deal. Taken 11th overall by the Jets in 2020, Becton fizzled out as a tackle during his tenure with Gang Green, but switched to guard last season with the Eagles and had one of the best seasons of his career, ranking 21st among every NFL guard with a 75.3 overall PFF grade. And then the Eagles let him go. Do you want to know why the Eagles let him go? Because they're already paying another guard, and they realize they should not be paying large amount of money for a guard. It doesn't work that way. All right, here's the other deal. All right, the Chargers seem content to roll into training camp with the duo of Bradley Bozeman and Zion Johnson, both of whom had rough 2024 campaigns, ranking 160th and 165 in run block win rate. There is a big change coming, however, as the two are set to switch spots, with Bozeman moving from center to guard and Johnson from guard to center. And Chargers analyst Daniel Popper of The Athletic seems to think Jim Harbaugh will see how that transition plays out before deciding whether or not to bring in additional help. So we're going to get to what the additional help could be. But before that, I want to talk to you about this line that is, quite frankly, not as bad as you think it is. It's just not. All right. And I think I'm starting to get a little bit, maybe frustrated by it. First off, PFF did rankings of all the offensive lines. This is the ranking for the Chargers to finish 2024. To finish 2024. Their best lineup was Rashawn Slater, Zion Johnson, Bradley Bozeman, Trey Pipkins, and Joe Alt. You take out Pipkins, right? You take out Pipkins and you add in something significantly better, Mekhi Becton. That's a good start. All right. Then you flip Johnson and Bozeman. You would assume that this could work out well. Now, here going into this new season, the Chargers going into the year, PFF has it ranked as the 10th best offensive line. And here's the reason they say it. They say the Chargers offensive tackle duo could push the Eagles pair to be the league's best by season's end. Left tackle Rashawn Slater already ranked second at the position in 2024 with a 90.9 PFF overall grade, while rookie Joe Alt posted a 75.9 PFF mark, 24th, after a strong finish to the year. There are question marks surrounding the interior offensive line where former first-round pick Zion Johnson has failed to live up to his draft status so far. While Mekhi Becton played at a high level of guard with the Eagles last season, there are no guarantees he can repeat that performance on another team. Here's the argument I'll make. Players don't often go to a Jim Harbaugh-led team and then have a worse year. It's a very well-coached team that's going to go out really, and I think, honestly, be pretty darn impressive. I also am struggling with a couple of things. All right, this is your interior offensive line, your guards and your centers. Of the players who played often, Bradley Bozeman struggled a little bit, ranking 29th out of 40 centers that had enough snaps to qualify. Again, 32 teams, you need to be a top 32 to be starting caliber, but you want to be top 16 in the league, right? You want to be a premier starter, a top half in the league starter. Bradley Bozeman was one of the worst starting centers in the league last year. There's no way around it. Now, when you go to the guard combo of Mekhi Becton and Zion Johnson, Mekhi Becton was number 20 guard. Okay, remember, there are 64 starting guards in the NFL. So to rank 20th, not only are you starting caliber, right, which is top 64, but you are honestly top 33%, top 30% in starting caliber. While Zion Johnson had a starting caliber grade, just not a spectacular grade. So we're sitting here acting like this is a team that had an interior offensive line that was absolutely abysmal. Yet somehow they were able to rank extremely well on offense. They were able to run well and do all those things, even with, how else do I say it, a guy whose tread is done in Gus Edwards, right? And a guy who has been multiple ACL, Achilles, all that kind of stuff in J.K. Dobbins. You don't have success running the football and be a top 10 rushing team in the NFL with that caliber of running backs unless you have a good offensive line. This line was not as bad as people think. And the tackles are only going to get better. And if you switch positions and Zion Johnson ends up being good, then you have something that's good. However, there's Popper also went on to talk about the potential of them adding Brandon Scherf as an option. Scherf is, I don't believe, currently signed anywhere. He spent a lot of his career with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He put together a pretty good season last year where he ranked 53rd, overall. And I'm just like, okay, that's not bad. He's had a good career, but he was blocking in a similar range, PFF-wise, as you would see from other people. Now, Scherf was elite. He was a phenomenal guard while playing for Washington. Then the last 3 years at Jacksonville, his production has dipped. The question is it because he's 33? He was 31, 32, and 33, right? Is it because he's older, or is it because he played for Jacksonville? I don't know, because it's not an exactly healthy place to play. And it's been a coaching debacle there over the last 3-4 years. So, yeah, that's an idea too. But I think with Ortiz, he is so, some would even say stingy with the salary cap, that he's just waiting to see. And I think if Harbaugh sees that Zion Johnson is effective at center, and then they feel like they have somebody that can play well at guard, if they feel like Bozeman can lock down a guard position, then they're going to say, we're going to roll with it the way we have it, and we're going to be happy with it. It's not as bad as you think. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.